So welcome, Terri. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for bringing those fabulous shoes. I love them.
My 5-minute shoes. Thank you for having me.
I was wondering if you could tell me what you have experienced as an angel investor that you feel is the secret sauce for a startup entrepreneur to get angel investment. Like, what needs to happen? What do they need to have to get that?
I think the biggest thing is developing relationships, because most angel investors invest in the team and invest in the people. So getting warm intros to people who will potentially be interested in investing in them in the particular space. Another big thing is to do very targeted focus for getting investors rather than doing a shotgun approach. So being very targeted is really important. But it's developing the relationship, so not coming in too arrogant, coming in transparent, coming in interested in a win-win type of situation, all of that, willing to share information and really develop a relationship, because it's going to be a long-term 7 to 10 year type of relationship. So the relationship is most important.
Fantastic. I feel the same way, but I'm not on the same side of the table as you. And so I was wondering, what kind of startups do you like to invest? Like, what is your passion?
So right now I'm really focusing on digital health. I've spent the last 18 years working in life sciences doing IT strategy and IT compliance. And so I really see a huge opportunity in investing in digital health. But if you look at the companies that I've invested in over the last 2 years, they all have services or products that improve people's lives. So my first one was My Health Teams, which is an online social platform for people with chronic diseases and illnesses, so they can better share and have a community with people who are like them and what they are living with. My most recent investment was with 2EO Health, which is this really early stage, but it's a digital health company with a female founder, co-founder, what they're focusing on is providing better data and analytics around pediatric asthma, so that families can feel more comfortable about better managing the disease and reducing the exacerbations and reducing the emergency room visits associated with it. So as a mother of a child with asthma, it hit really close to home. Female founder, early stage, and Bronwyn Harris is the CEO, and she's going to kill it.
Fantastic. I used to have asthma, and my kids have asthma, so I
totally get it. Yeah.
What the panic is when they can't breathe, and so in fact, my son actually died for 10 minutes because of the asthma, and then we had an anaphylactic reaction. So I was in a car with him dead, basically, stiff. I mean, I can't even imagine. It's a mother's worst nightmare.
Absolutely.
So good work.
Yeah, and it's a passive one, unlike Propeller and some of the others that are require you to blow into it. It's a passive thing that's on the bed, so that you can collect the data, so that it isn't a matter of making sure that they're actively doing it over time, but it's just passively happening every single night.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So tell me, have you got an interesting or funny story for us tonight about being an investor? Because everyone tells us such interesting things.
So I think in light of what's going on in VC right now and in technology and the raised awareness about the harassment and everything else, I think one of the things that's been a little bit tough about being a female investor is constantly underestimated. So there was this particular company, it was a drone company, and it was last year sometime, male founders, and got on the phone with them because I was interested in what they were doing. And I asked a couple of questions about the FAA regulations and totally got mansplained. And I said, well, as a commercially rated helicopter pilot, I'm intimately familiar with the FAA regulations. And he goes, oh, we should have known that. And I said, yeah, you should have known that. So they had to work really, really hard in order to gain my confidence. And that's kind of going back to one of the arrogance things in terms of the relationship, because if he just went in just underestimating me and assuming I would not know anything about it, what kind of a partnership is that going to be over time?
Oh my God, that is a great story. Thank you so much for sharing it. And I'm sorry that happened to you, but it happens all the time. So right now we're talking about the overt sexual harassment, but it's really the subtle sexism, misogyny, and discrimination that happens that's really, I think, a bigger issue. And unfortunately, when I came here 7 years ago, I've discovered in that year of doing that project about why women are funded less than men, that this was one of the worst areas in the US, unfortunately, because there were so many white male geeks. But I was horrified and shocked. I thought America would be enlightened for some reason.
No, and one of the things that I think we women need to do is start to come together and really collaborate more, and men need to be a part of the solution. And we've got all these little itsy bitsy little things, whether we've got 3 different types of getting on the board, whether it's Athena Alliance or board list, or getting access to women speakers or panelists or C-level, or even finding out who the female-friendly investors are. So I'm working on a proposal for Richard Branson and Virginia Knight to potentially put together a global technical platform to pull all of that together.
Oh, well, if I can help you in any way, I've already done my ordinary grassroots stuff of promoting female investors here in the Valley. I've got a website page where I promote them and try and get them speaking gigs. So,
well, fabulous.
But can I just say one thing though?
Sure.
This is just what I've seen, is that women tend not to promote themselves. And I try and promote them all, but they tend not to want to put themselves out there. And I think men don't seem to have that problem, which is great. I mean, I enjoy the male investors as well, but I just think it's a pity that the females don't see that getting out there and speaking and networking is just as important as actually investing. So
yeah, we really need to do a better job of promoting ourselves. And to that point, a lot of times when I coach female founders on putting their pitches together, they only put together what they think is truly probable and likely to succeed, rather than putting in what's potentially possible, the dream type thing. And the male founders come in and put this, and they're down here. And so the problem is that they're not looked at in the same way. So I coach them, put it up here. I know you're uncomfortable and it doesn't feel like it lines up with your integrity, but you need, until we can get the pitch is more reasonable in terms of the addressable market or the revenue projections, until we can get that more parity there, we need to start putting out this huge vision to make it so that we can attract the attention of the male investors who typically dismiss the female founders as soon as they walk into the door. There's a great book called The Feminist Fight Club, and I don't know if you've read it. I think the author is Jessica Bennett. And it talks about sexism in the workplace and what women can be doing to start to combat it. And I know this is a human problem, not just a women problem, but there's some really great things in there about getting out and promoting. One of the things that women need to do is feel better about taking risks. And the thing about that is the research has proven that what boys learn how to, because of competitive sports, they learn how to fail publicly earlier. And as a result, they're more willing to take risks. Whereas we're not really as socialized to take risks. So that's probably one of the areas we can really work on, is feeling better about taking risks and seeing it not as a personal failure, because men attribute failures to external factors and women to internal factors. And the opposite is true for successes. Women tend to externalize the successes and then internalize the failures. So we need to flip a couple of those things. So if we start flipping some of those things within ourselves, taking bigger risks, putting the bigger vision out there, and taking credit for our successes and not worrying so much about our failures, I think we're going to start moving our own needle, and our confidence will go up. And as a result, I think we'll start moving some other things. We'll keep moving the ball forward.
Great points, and it's great that you're out there supporting female founders. Thank you so much, Terri, and I'm so looking forward to tonight.
Oh, well, thank you so much. My pleasure.